Well, Sean, it's exciting to have you here and to be able to just talk about what we can replace these invasive plants with that are either native or non-invasives.
Yeah, thanks for having me. We have one of our main offenders up first that we wanted to talk about.
Yes.
This is calorie pear, and we still see this all over the place.
Yes.
People have Bradford pears. They might have moved into a house and didn't really think about how bad this tree was. But these are just awful because not only do they seed everywhere and clog up our highways and our natural areas and disturbed areas, but also they split and fall down and ruin your own home landscape. So instead, we brought some serviceberry, and this is a wonderful small tree or large shrub that a homeowner could plant. And this makes what's called June berries.
Yes.
So they're actually edible, good for birds, good for people. And it's just a much better use because a lot of times the Bradford pears, they get so big and then they fall over, and this stays a much nicer size.
It's also one of my favorite plants. What else do we have though? Because this is a wonderful way of saying, hey, let's take this tree down, but let's put this tree up instead.
Exactly.
Yes.
We really want people to be able to plant something good for the environment. So
exactly.
the next baddie that we have on the list, this is English ivy.
Yes.
We all know English ivy. I'm just going to put this over here.
Right.
But instead we have crossvine. This is bignonia, and it forms these like lovely kind of orangey brown flowers, which is not a color that you see very often.
But
so
it's
that's
beautiful.
It's
mass.
beautiful. Yeah, exactly. Just really voluminous, bushy vine. And you know what, it makes a great replacement. You can use it to climb on things, just like you would English ivy.
It's also evergreen like English ivy.
Exactly.
People need to understand that. So it can run on the ground.
Yeah, and we don't have a lot of evergreen vines, really, in our native fauna.
Right.
Another thing that I know a lot of people still have, this is Chinese privet over here. This is an old-timey garden plant. A lot of people have these really tight privet hedges, and it's a really distinct kind of look, but it needs to be left in the past where it belongs.
Yes.
If you see this fruit right here, this is really, really appetizing to birds because it resembles holly fruit. So they eat it, they give it to your neighbors, they give it to the people down the street, and then this stuff just gets everywhere and crowds everything out.
Yes. So what can we replace it with?
Well, first, I want to bring out this other privet that really is much more common in our landscapes today and is really just as bad. I pulled this off of a roadside this afternoon where it just covered the whole edge of the woods. And you can see this fruit is very much similar to that. It forms the same appetizing fruit. But this is another kind of ligustrum that's very closely related to the Chinese privet.
Yes, equally as destructive.
Instead, what can go in our home landscapes, this is Yupon holly. Ilex vomitoria, so named because when the settlers witnessed the natives, they were drinking the stuff and puking, and so I think that's a cool story.
Yes, it is.
But
excellent name.
Yeah, it's also the only caffeinated plant in North America, interestingly.
Interesting. And deer do not touch it.
Deer don't touch it. It can either be a large shrub or a very small dwarf shrub, and people really want their little green balls. And this is a great plant where you can still have that, and you're planting a native too.
Agreed. Moving right along, we've got one that people really love for the fragrance, and then they use the berries for jams and such. So what do we say about this one?
This is autumn olive, and you can see these really pretty undersides of the leaves, and then just look at them and then don't plant it in your yard.
Yes.
Because this stuff forms impenetrable thickets. This branch was growing kind of upside down when I cut it, also off the roadside this afternoon.
So aggressive, so invasive.
It's awful.
But we have this wonderful substitute.
Bayberry. This is bayberry. If you crush it, it smells great. I like to put the leaves in my work boots, to be honest with you. But this is another plant that forms little berries that birds can eat, and it's good for the food web, and good for all kinds of our native critters. This one also has nitrogen-fixing bacteria in the roots, which is really great to support all kinds of native wildlife. And they can get kind of large, or you can keep them kind of small. As long as you're taking care of it, it will take care of you.
Exactly. Takes a lot of abuse. This is one of my least favorites.
see you handling it very gingerly.
Yes, very gingerly.
Peggy did pull a barberry thorn out of her
Finger
hand
earlier.
just a second ago. This is Japanese barberry, still a really common garden plant. And it's, it spreads to disturbed areas fairly easily. And so we're just going to forget about this and put this back in the past where it belongs.
Correct.
And instead, we're going to plant Loropetalum. And you know what? We don't have necessarily a nice, tidy, perfect native plant, but Loropetalum, not invasive.
Non-invasive, not aggressive.
Not aggressive, doesn't spread, deer don't eat it. If you want a couple of these in your yard to keep a nice formal look, that's okay.
Yes.
And then you put your crazy native plants where they belong.
And this is Purple Daydream.
This
now,
is purple.
we have seconds, Sean, so let's talk about
Okay. This
seconds.
is Miscanthus. It is no good anymore.
Yes, it's
instead,
a grass that's just too much.
Too much.
And it's actually invading the woodlands.
Yes. So instead, we're going to plant Panicum.
Yeah.
This one is Cloud9, and it's just so pretty. The
Such a
flowers
pretty
are so
switchgrass.
pretty.
So pretty. Now, I know we have more to talk about, but unfortunately, we're out of time. So,
C'est la vie.
c'est la vie. So,
Well, thank you.
thank you.